The killing of George Floyd has protesters demanding change, led by Black Lives Matter once again.
It's time for us to stand up in George's name and say, get your knee off our necks.
Welcome, brothers and sisters, to another video from the Black Economic channel. I am Neville Farkey, coordinator of the channel. The introductory section before was from the Black Lives Matter movement, and this is an alternate to the Pan-African movement, which I showed in the last video. And the goal is to try to establish a link between the Black Lives Matter movement, the younger movement, and the older Pan-African movement. We need to establish that link and build that link so that we can work together in Africa and in the diaspora to reduce our dependence on the old colonizers from Europe and North America and the new Chinese colonizers. Africa at home and abroad Africans need to increase business ownership and our investments where we live in any economic system that exists in that particular country. The economic systems, and I'm just going to mention these briefly, they range from the extreme of capitalism as exists in the United States and in Britain and most countries of the world, to communism that exists in Russia and China, which have evolved to state capitalism. I'm not in favor of either of those two extremes that cause the concentration of wealth and economic power in the hands of a small percentage of the population, while the majority of middle-class people and poor people work for them or work for their companies or their private organizations or work for the governments that they control. And the majority of people are living from paycheck to paycheck. Ranging between these two extremes are democratic socialist countries, economic system as exists in some European countries, where you have more social programs, more government-owned companies and private companies which allow for more worker participation. The democratic socialist system was tried in Jamaica by the Jamaican Democratic Party, led by Michael Manley in the 80s, but it was crushed by the CIA and the local Conservative Party, as is being done in Venezuela. However, they did make some progress. Progress was made and a number of reforms introduced, like the land reform program, land lease under that government, and many other changes that benefited many Jamaicans. I'm going to say benefited the majority of Jamaicans. The other kind of economic system that is also known to many people, but not well known and was tried. It's the Ujamaa socialist system, or African socialism, that was developed and proposed by Dr. Julius Nyerere from Tanzania, and it was tried in Tanzania for a period of time. Now, the Ujamaa economic system, or African socialism, or cooperative economic system, that is something that is very interesting, and I will look at it, and I will, in a future video, will spend some more time on this. However, despite the kind of economic system that exists where we live, we black folks need to own more business and other investment to gain economic power in proportion to our share of the population. And this is the mission, or the first priority, of the Black Economic Network, which is to build a network to help us score that main goal of economic independence.
Cooling on a couch, watching TV, no, I'm feeling nothing but lazy, feeling to some nothing else to do, might as well go to the board and drop something brand new, feeling on the dice, throwing shit down, making me hard to the sound, about to stop, hungry then I'm up for the plug now, cause I found out you liking this. Don't you want it back? Don't you want it back? Don't you want it?
The Black Lives Matter group has been fighting to be heard since 2013, and the phrase itself is now being seen on streets and screens all over the world. But how did the movement get here? How did it begin? Their message comes from an urgent need to tackle police brutality, and the statistics are stark. Police killed more than 1,000 people in America in 2019. Black people are currently 3 times more likely to be killed by police, and 99% of killings by a police officer between 2013 to 2019 have not resulted in criminal charges. But the Black Lives Matter bubble didn't actually start with police brutality. It began after the death of Trayvon Martin at the hands of an armed vigilante.
It is the story that no one can stop talking about, the shooting of Trayvon Martin.
On a February evening in 2012 in Sanford, Florida, Neighborhood Watch volunteer George Zimmerman called the police to report a suspicious person.
This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining and he's just walking around looking about.
Okay, and this guy, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He looks black.
He's told not to approach the person in question.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Zimmerman ignored the instructions and started following 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. Moments later, neighbors reported hearing gunfire.
There's gunshots.
You just heard gunshots?
Yes.
How many?
This one.
Zimmerman accepted he shot Martin, claiming self-defense. He wasn't immediately charged. In fact, it took 44 days for him to be arrested, only after national media attention, a petition signed by more than 1 million people, and a public response from the then president.
You know, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. We're going to get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
A year later, Zimmerman was found not guilty of all charges by a jury of 6 women, 5 of them white. The acquittal caused outrage and sparked the birth of a new kind of civil rights movement.
Long before there was a Black Lives Matter movement, there was a movement for Black lives.
It comes as a great shock to discover that the country, which is your birthplace, and to which you owe your life and your identity, has not in its whole system of reality evolved any place for you.
BLM from its beginning was the continuation of a tradition and a remix of a much longer Black freedom struggle, but it has its roots in the labor of Black women.
After Zimmerman's acquittal, activist Alicia Garza posted on Facebook, "Black people, I love you. I love us. Our lives matter. Black lives matter." Garza's friend Patrice Couleur shared the final 3 words as a hashtag. On the 7th of March 2013, Black Lives Matter was first seen on Twitter. Writer and immigrant rights activist Opal Tometi offered to build social media platforms for it, where activists could connect with one another.
With this hashtag, new conversations were being created online and ultimately in our everyday lives.
Black Lives Matter is our call to action. It is a tool to reimagine a world where Black people are free to exist, free to live. It is a tool for our allies to show up differently for us.
The movement gained popularity in the summer of 2014, with Eric Garner's last words now a rallying cry, "I can't breathe," caught on video. The incident went viral. In July 2014, on a street in New York's Staten Island, 43-year-old Garner was arrested on suspicion of illegally selling cigarettes.
I did nothing. We were sitting here the whole time. I'm not missing.
He died in a confrontation with Officer Daniel Pantaleo after being placed in a chokehold. He was a father of 6. Pantaleo was fired 5 years later, but a state grand jury still refused to press criminal charges.
Black lives do not matter to this system. When you time and time again, you're seeing us being murdered, and time again, you're seeing the police go free.
Just 2 months after Eric Garner's death, another fatal shooting.
There is growing outrage tonight after an unarmed African-American teenager was shot and killed by police in the St. Louis suburb of Ferguson, Missouri.
18-year-old Michael Brown allegedly stole a pack of cigarillos from a corner store. Police officer Darren Wilson shot Brown after suspecting him of being involved in the robbery.
Police have shot this man for no reason.
Brown was due to start college 2 days after he was killed. For weeks, hundreds of people who'd never taken part in organised protests before took to the streets.
Hands up! Don't shoot!
More tear gas, more rubber bullets. Anger boiled over. Ferguson's governor called in the National Guard. Black Lives Matter was used on Twitter over 50,000 times a day. Despite the anger surrounding the case, Darren Wilson wasn't prosecuted. He resigned from the force and said he acted in self-defense.
Ferguson and Michael Brown Jr. will be a defining moment on how this country deals with policing.
After Ferguson, the Black Lives Matter movement took root and gained momentum as Black people continued to die at the hands of white police. It was a cycle of killings, protests, and no criminal charges.
No federal charges. No state criminal charges.
This was all happening with America's first Black president and Attorney General at the helm.
I chose to run for president at this moment.
No justice! No peace! No justice!
So even though Black Lives Matter representatives were invited to the Obama White House, they were also some of its harshest critics.
So their idea was, yes, show up, yes, be at the table. But if you don't get the kind of policy responses that you demand, then flip that table.
And then the table flipped totally in 2016.
Well, you see them marching, and you see them on occasion, at least, I've seen it, where they're essentially calling death to the police. And that's not acceptable.
In the years running up to the 2016 election, Black Lives Matter faced a backlash. Some started using the slogans All Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, and Blue Lives Matter in response.
When you say Black Lives Matter, that's inherently racist.
Well, I think their
Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, Hispanic Lives Matter, that's anti-American and it's racist.
America's police and law enforcement personnel are what separates civilization from total chaos. I am the law and order candidate.
Donald Trump's then election marked a new era for America and the world. The summer after the inauguration, racial tensions inflamed again.
I want to clarify a few minor points, 2 points. The first one is that in the previous video, the last video, I said that the Japanese were compensated for oppression. Actually, it was the American Japanese who were put in concentration camps during World War II, and they got compensation after the end of the war. The Jews also were compensated in an agreement that was signed in 1952. West Germany paid Israel a sum of 3 billion marks over, the agreement was to pay 3 billion marks over the next 14 years to the World Jewish Congress and to the State of Israel for the heirs of the victims who had not survived, and that amount was paid to the government of Israel. And the source of this information, which I'm reading, is Wikipedia article on reparation and agreement. In 1988, a decade after the campaign started by the Japanese American, President Ronald Reagan signed an agreement in which the United States agreed to pay $1.6 billion at that time in 1988 to Japanese survivors and their heirs. And that $1.6 billion is equivalent to approximately $3.5 billion would be in 2019. And this amount was paid to 82,000 Japanese Americans and heirs and their heirs who were put in concentration, and their heirs of those who were put in concentration camps during World War II. And the source of this information, I like to give the source of these information. It is nationalpublicradio.org in 2020 and mnchurches.org blog in 2021. The second point I want to make is that so far I've been using only music from my son's CD that I published, and I have permission, of course I published it, so I have permission to use that music without any copyright problems. However, I'm having copyright problems with the first song, one of the songs that you hear as a little part of it being played. The first song, the title track called Sudden Waves, because the promoter who I gave it to promote it and to sell it, he put a copyright on that song without my knowledge, and he has rejected my dispute of his copyright claim, and it seems like I'm going to have a early fight on this matter in this stage of establishing this network. I would like to use other music that some of them are even more appropriate than what I'm using from my son, and also for the purposes of variety mainly. We want this channel to be varied. Variety is the spice of life. And I would like to establish contact with black producers or any black person in the business side of the music industry or the entertainment business, that side is usually controlled by other races for black performers. Similarly, black people who are in the sports business are also invited to contact me. I want to make the network as interesting, both interesting and informative. And in doing that, I will also include in each video, I will include different sayings. Some sayings I've been using from time to time. The main one I've been using is "United we stand, but divided we fall." Or the saying like, "Where there is a will, there is usually a way," or "Persistence usually overcome resistance," or "Variety is the spice of life," or "All work and no play is no good." And I will, or the other one, which is a Jamaican saying I know, it says, "Two heads are better than one, even if the second head is a goat head." And some people say a yam head, other people say a cocoa head, depending on where in Jamaica you're from. Or other saying is, "Good friends better than pocket money." And I will repeat, of course, I'm just stating a number of them now, but in each video I will repeat only one or two. And you can also send me any videos that you would like me to include. We want to make the channel both informative and interesting. The next segment will include another section from Black Lives Matter, and in a future video I will include I will deal with an easy way. I promise to do it in this video, but I don't want these videos to be too long. I don't want each one to be too long, so I'll postpone the easy plan to an easy way to plan a small business. I'll postpone it until the next video, and easy way to prepare a business plan, and also sources of financing. I mentioned the reparations in a previous video, and we'll mention it from time to time, but that's a long-term source for the future, which we'll have to struggle and fight to get. But there are also a number of sources that are currently available for financing, and in the next video I will go into those sources.
Suddenly you left me alone by myself.
So, as I mentioned in the previous video, thanks for viewing and participating in the first set of videos last month. The start has been much better than I expected. Please keep up your support and help us to grow. Networking or having suitable contacts is the single most important factor to reach our goal, although it is not the only one. I want to read quickly some comments from some of my Facebook friends. Brother Codrick F. has a big farm near Bushy Park, or in Bushy Park, and that's between Olaba and Spanish Town. And he said, "Neville, looking forward to see you when you come to Jamaica, brother." Another comment from Sister Una Richards Morgan, and in response to my request to share the invitation, her comment was just will do. Sister Magdalene C. from Kingston in Jamaica commented, "Best wishes with your noble pursuit for the black community. Blessings." And I have plenty requests from people to be friends, and I will respond to them in the next few days. Most of my comments have been from Jamaica because naturally that's where I have most contacts, and I have contacts and comments from a number of places. I just saw some comments from someone or some people in Africa, and there is a particular brother who has started to watch all the videos and comment on them. I didn't get have time to. I will include those in the next video, because I'm putting some comments in one video, as you notice, and others in a later video. I'm spreading out the comments. But as the network grows, and I don't want this to be a Jamaican thing, I want it to be Africans and diasporans all over the world. And as more and more people tune into the network and join the network and watch the videos, then of course I will have more contacts and comments from a variety of people from a number of countries. So keep the comments coming, and thanks for your comments again, and I'll keep mentioning them and replying to them. I've replied to all comments that I've gotten so far, and I will respond to requests for friends on Facebook, and the direct, I also get direct comments mainly on WhatsApp, and I will respond to them also. Okay.
Cooling on a couch, watching TV. No, I'm feeling nothing but lazy. Feeling to some nothing else to do. Might as well go to the board and drop something brand new. Feeling on the dice, throwing shit down, making me vibe to the sound. About to stop. Hungry, then I'm up for the plug now, cause I found out you liking this. Would you want it back? Would you want it back? Would you want
it? The final section of this video, I will just mention again about the need for you to like the videos and to subscribe to the videos for the channel, for this channel to survive and to grow. Also, if you want, I would encourage you to join the network so that we can give you information that we got from other members of the network. If you're not a member of the network, we are not going to give you information that we get from other members, because of course we don't want to share people's information without their permission. And when you join the network, then it means that it indicates that you are willing to share information with other people in the network, mainly opportunities for your business or your investment, whether you're just starting the business or you are growing a business. We will opportunities to buy some of your output or to provide inputs for you to start your business and to grow it. So until the next video, I want to say thanks again for watching. Keep yourself healthy keep your hopes alive, and I will see you next time in the next video. Bye-bye.